Today's question is, CJ, I'm trying to manifest my specific person. I know he's just a hologram, but can he reject my assumptions? Can he reject my decisions? I've decided he's mine, but he keeps telling me how he will never choose me. He has 10 other women. I'm afraid that he can get to decide and he can get to reject my assumptions. And how can I manifest them? He seemingly has his own free will. He's able to decide. Now, guys, look, the thing with the law of assumption, the thing with being the operant power, the source of your reality, is exactly what it states. You're the operant power of your reality. Now, they seemingly have their own free will. Okay, they don't have any free will. Now, what sometimes you might get wrong through the teachings of the law of assumption is that you might think that you tend to force your specific person to choose you. You tend to force them to love you, when actually it was never the case. You're not forcing anyone to love you. You're not manipulating them into loving you. You are deciding what it is that you are, who it is that you are, and what it is that you can get. Okay? So now, by default, by being the operant power of your reality, by default, everyone adores you. By default, they worship you. Now, you force them to not choose you when you assume that they have their free will. And what is the free will thing? The free will is you entertain the possibility of failure. You entertain the possibility that they could want someone else. But it's not that they would want someone else. You entertain the possibility that you could be not chosen, that you could be not loved, not in charge. Okay? Now, and this all goes back again to checking the 3D. They said, they did. Okay, so basically, what you're doing right now, you're not acknowledging the fact that everything is your creation. And that's what happens when you guys don't apply my teachings and you go about, because you're trying to run without walking. So you pee all over the information that you're God, your source, and that's why I insist on this information, because once you get this, once you are stable in this, you will no longer need any more manifestation video, any more manifestation technique, anything else. Why? Because this is the key. Knowing that your source, knowing that you're God is key. If you knew you are God, if you knew you are the operant power, if you knew that you're in charge, you wouldn't even get circumstances like this in your life. And even if you did, your approach and your attitude towards them will be totally different. You will not be easily influenced by anything that happens in your 3D once you get that your 3D is your lawyer butler, as a subscriber said. So when you get this trait, when you get this, how to call it, when you get it once in your head, that I'm the operant power, that means by default, they love me. By default, they choose me because they didn't even have the power to choose me in the first place because I'm the boss. How could an employee, and that's why I gave so many approaches, so many perspectives, that you guys understand what's happening in your reality and who you are, what status you occupy in your reality. Those perspectives were never for you to become arrogant, but rather to understand that you're the boss. Everyone else is your employee, aiding you into getting your job done. Okay, that means by default they are willingly aiding you. Okay, as Neville Goddard said, it's their desire, not that they have any, but it's their desire to help you. You're not forcing them to help you. You've created them to help you. They're a fragment of you. Okay, so now every time you find yourself begging or chasing, because look, as the boss of your reality, you wouldn't be begging, okay? And I'm not talking about 3D begging. I don't give a fuck about that. You can do whatever you want in your 3D. I don't teach you to do or not do action in the 3D. What I'm telling you is you're mentally begging. You're mentally putting someone or something above you, asking for permission, begging for results. If you're not begging for your specific person to choose you, mentally you're begging for the money, you're begging for the 3D to change, you're begging for the circumstances to be different, but you're basically begging, so you're put yourself in a status that says, I'm the employee, I have to beg. Now check within yourselves, has your mentality been the one of a beggar? Because it has, it means you haven't quite behaved, or you haven't quite thought as the operant power of your reality, as the boss of your reality. Now I am insisting on this because this is the fundamental. Now you can pee on this information as much as you want, but this is basically the key that will get you everything you want. Now, another question would be, how do I, if I'm the operant power, then it should have been manifested. Now, this is the trap where some of you may fall into, and it's also about checking the 3D. Well, my honest answer, it would be, like the one you mentioned in your comment, it would be, as all the other coaches tell you, those that know what they're talking about, is if you were the operant power, you wouldn't be questioning it. You wouldn't be frustrated or annoyed that this thing hasn't manifested. You would be in a control state, in a state that says, I got this, I don't care, it hadn't manifested yet. It doesn't mean it's not going to manifest. It doesn't mean so. This is the trap, guys. Declaring something to be, as you say, and then checking the 3D or waiting for it. You're basically waiting for permission from the 3D. This is how it translates, okay? Now, all the people that had success stories with the pull the strings methods from my course, it's because they applied. They gave up the victim mentality and they started applying. They started viewing themselves as the boss of their reality. Now, the course does present methods that will not be heard in any other place because it's my personal creation, and it kind of goes like there are methods that don't focus on the specific person per se. Okay, so it's methods that easily put you back into your power, even when you've forgotten, even when you deal with circumstances in the 3D, okay? Because this is the most important thing. When you deal with a circumstance in the 3D, you have two choices, because you're forever the one in charge of your reality. So you have two choices. You either believe what the 3D says, and then you say, you decide for yourself that you're not the one that is going to get the manifestation, or you remind yourself of who you are. You give that mentality a chance, you embody that mentality, and then you will see results. You cannot see results of a winner when you continue behaving as a victim, as a loser. When you entertain in your head, in your mind, the possibility of failure, and most of the times this is what you guys are entertaining, because otherwise, look, if you would look in your 3D and you would see a 3D that you don't like, you've already entertained the idea of failure. That's why you interpret it as you do. That's why you say, well, I'm not the operant power, because if I were the operant power, then my relationship would be here, my specific person would love me. So they are in charge, the circumstance is in charge, the 3D is in charge, this shit doesn't work, manifestation doesn't work, and all kind of bullshit. So you're approaching that from a victim mindset rather than taking a break and asking yourself, am I really the operant power? Am I really in charge? Am I really the one controlling everything? And this is where you, if you either don't believe it or have faith in it, you start saying it anyways. That's what I'm saying. But now, if you're doing it from a begging situation, okay, from a begging stand-off point that says, I beg my 3D. And begging can be translated in so many ways. You either stalk their social media. This is begging. You're trying to get a proof, a validation that you're gonna get this. Or begging is constantly thinking about your desire. And I like this because there is a question on my community forum that says, if focus creates, and why becoming obsessed is wrong, and it's translating as is waiting. Guys, look, I don't know who the fuck you've been listening to. I don't know who told you to be obsessed and think about your manifestation 24/7, but my truth is that if it is here, it cannot be manifested in the 3D world. It has to resurrect in the 3D world. You have to let it die from your mind, which means you don't need to think about your manifestation 24/7. Now, if you like to think about your manifestation 24/7, do so, but because you like it, not because you're trying to get it to be born on earth, or you're trying to do everything in your power to manifest it. I don't know who the fuck told you, I don't know who you've manifested or who I manifested in my reality to tell you guys that you have to focus. Now, I know that there is this teaching that says what you focus on grows, but why don't you focus on yourself as getting everything that you want? Like, you should be obsessed with yourself and saying, you know what, I'm gonna get what I want. And look at all the things that you have currently in your life. Those things continue to be manifested in your life. I'm pretty sure you don't focus on your car, on your couch, on your dog 24/7. You don't focus on your toilet in the bathroom 24/7. You don't become obsessed and affirm for your toilet in your bathroom, and you still have it, okay? It's still there. It's not going anywhere. So you're manifesting those without actually consciously focusing on them. The more effort you put, it's the more you're not gonna get your manifestation. Why would you put effort in it if you would approach it as the god of your reality, as the boss of your company? But many of you are not doing this. You're just like a fish on the land, trying to get in the water, and you're just bumbling all around, and you're suffocating. You're focusing too much on your manifestation. You forgot all about yourself. You forgot about all the other areas in your life. And thank God, because you are God, because you are the operant power of your reality, those areas still manifest in your reality. You still manifest them on autopilot, and you still have your house, you still have your friends, you still have your car, you still have your body. So how come no focus on those, no awareness on those? And I mean mental awareness. You're not sitting around affirming consciously 24/7 about all the things that you currently have in your own life, and they're still manifesting. It means that obsessively thinking about your manifestation is not the key, right? Because otherwise you would have been here spending all your entire 24 hours of the day affirming, not living at all. So obsessing over your manifestation is not key. You don't need, and in my opinion, it's not even recommended. Guys, you're focused on the wrong thing here, okay? You're focused on getting your specific person. You're focused on getting the money, getting the job. Can you understand how beggar you behave? How much of a beggar you are? There were not things on the outside that you have to grasp from the 3D, take from the 3D, beg for from the 3D. They are yours. They're already yours. Acknowledge they are already yours and allow it to manifest in your 3D. Bear in mind, this thing that allow it to manifest in your 3D, most of you that go so literal about it would say, well, the 3D brings me stuff, okay? The 3D doesn't bring you stuff. You bring it to yourself. You are the 3D, guys, okay? So when your specific person says 10 times they don't want you, why, instead of bothering, you're so much bothering yourselves with what is happening in the world, in the outside world. Look, a cute little car. Okay, nice. You're bothering yourself. You're too busy focusing on what your SP fucking does, what your SP fucking says, instead of being more obsessed and busy with who the fuck are you? What role do you play in your fucking reality? You're not even bothered about that. You're not even obsessed with yourselves. You're so obsessed with the money, the cars, your SP, your job, your whatever. Why are you doing this? Like, aren't you worth living for? Aren't you worth thinking of? How can you expect your specific person to think of you when all you do, like you yourselves don't give yourself the value, the worth, the status that you are? You don't do that. All you do is all day long, you think about them, what they do, who they are with, or you think about the third party, or you think about your so-called competition, or you think about the circumstances, the 3D, you think about the future, you think about the past. You never bother to think about yourselves. You never bother to be obsessed about yourselves. You never did that. You yourself are treating yourself as unimportant, unvaluable. How do you expect your 3D to reflect anything else than you've been assuming about yourself? When you spend your life, when you spend your days from the morning that you do your coffee, I bet that so many people in this community cannot even sit around in a moment of silence and say, you know what, make themselves a priority and say, you know what, I just want to drink my coffee. I don't want to deal with this. I don't have to deal with this. I am more important. I want to drink my coffee. I want to have my peace. I'm going to get anything I want anyways. I don't have to worry about anything. So let me drink my fucking coffee. I bet most of you don't even know how coffee tastes like anymore because you've been doing it on autopilot. You're doing it on worrying about what your SP does. You forgot to drink your coffee, guys. You forgot to feel the taste of your coffee in your mouth because you are too busy stalking your specific person on fucking social media, who they have slept with, if they're married to the third party, if they have babies, if the third party has another third party. You're trying to get a manipulation tactic there so that the third party will leave your SP and not what. You're trying to you're so busy into learning what the circumstance is telling you in more techniques. How can I do this? How can I push myself more? How can I not sabotage, I wouldn't say, how can I punish myself more effort? And that's why most of you are overwhelmed, because you didn't give a fuck about yourselves. You were not focused about yourselves, like saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm important here. In some cases, some of you might have to say, I'm important here too. So imagine how much of a victim mentality and how much of a beggar you are when all you can think about from the morning till the noon is, he said he doesn't want me 10 times. Who gives a fuck? What do you want? When are you going to count? You don't even count for yourself. How the fuck do you expect to count for your specific person? How the fuck do you expect your 3D to reflect anything else other than what you're giving it? Do you know what you're giving your 3D? The impression to reflect? Do you know the command you're giving your 3D? I'm not important. I'd rather sit here, manifest more techniques to follow, manifest more pity parties, manifesting more reasons for me not to have my SP. I would rather stay here in a 3D that says you cannot get this, because what am I doing? I'm manifesting not getting it. Do you understand what you're doing? If you're someone that wakes up in the morning trying to find more ways to push yourselves, trying to find more ways to punish yourselves, to remind yourselves that you don't have your SP, that morning and that day is going to be the same over and over and over and over again. Why? Because you haven't changed yourself. You were not for a second saying, I'm God here, I say what goes, I'm gonna fucking go live my life, I'm going fucking drink my coffee, I'm going to hang out with my friends. Why? Because it's taken care of. I don't have to worry. I don't have to be like a fucking obsessive, desperate lunatic being there on top of the thing, seeing if it's cooked. Do you do that with all the other things, guys? Of course you don't, because you're in your mind here trying to manifest your SP. You don't give a fuck about the food you're eating. You don't give a fuck about the 3D, the whole universe that you've manifested. Oh no, these are details. Me telling you guys you're God? No. Why the fuck? Okay, I'm God. Give me a new technique. It's about taking a step back. It's about not obsessing, taking a step back from everything that you were. Stop the chase, stop the run, stop the begging. Did they get you anywhere? I see comments, I've been trying to manifest my SP for years, nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. How can that manifestation come to you? That manifestation will not come to you. It will come to the you that decides I'm gonna get what I want. That manifestation, your SP, is going to come, they never come anyways, They will come to you as the identity that says, I know I have you. I'm not even bothered about that. I'm more important. You are not important for you guys. How do you expect the 3D to show you you are important? That you are important. You sacrifice every second of your day chasing and begging your fucking manifestation. Of course it's on a pedestal. Of course it takes years to get it. Because you think your manifestation is such a fucking big deal. I'm telling you, you're God. You don't think that's a big deal. You don't give a fuck about that information. You care more. You are more busy caring about what your fucking specific person said. Their words, which is also your manifestation, but you're too busy thinking about their words than what actually created that. And now, some of you that are victims would be, oh, I created that. It means I'm no good for nothing. I'm not worth. Of course I created that. I'm an asshole. I cannot manifest anything. I'm not worth of anything. You're too busy shitting all over yourselves. You're too busy having no pride, no selfishness, no arrogancy. Is that a word? You pee all over yourselves. You don't care about yourselves. You care about getting the relationship, getting the love relationship, getting the money. When you hate yourselves, first of all, that manifestation is not going to come. And if it comes, it's not going to stick. What does hating yourselves mean? Hating yourselves means not viewing yourself as your true status, not acknowledging the fact that you can manifest everything you want, not acknowledging that you are worth of love for Christ's sake. You're playing yourself so small, and then you ask me, why does he say he has 10 women? Did you view yourself as valuable? Did you view yourself as his boss? Did you view yourself as his creator? Did you view yourself as too precious to lose? Of course you didn't. You were too bothered in doing techniques to bring his ass over in your arms. It's like he's the prize, not you. If you knew you were the prize, if you knew that a relationship with you is a fucking privilege, would you do techniques to bring their ass over? You would even have the attitude that they're doing everything in their power to be with me. I don't even have to worry, I'm God. You would select your experiences the same way you select a product on the shelf from the supermarket. I don't see you praising or begging for milk. Are you worshiping milk? That's why you keep manifesting milk. Are you worshiping your toilet in your bathroom? You don't. That's why you keep manifesting it. That's why it's in your reality still. You're not worshiping all this stuff. All the stuff you're worshiping is the stuff you put more effort into. The more effort you put into it, the more you worship it, the more you give the impression, I'm not important, I'm not God, I'm not source, they are. Is the toilet the source of your life? Is the toilet the source of your relationship? No. Is the chair in your house a source of happiness? No. Is the bed? Is the grass? Are the trees source of anything? Then how come if 99% of your 3D, trees, birds, cars, roads, toilets, chairs, sofas, beds, your colleagues, your boss is not source of anything, why the fuck could your specific person, which represents 0.0001% of the entire 3D, be the source of you, be the source of your relationship? No one else is, nothing else is. 99.99% of your whole entire 3D is not source of you, of your existence, of what goes tomorrow, of what will happen tomorrow, but your SP is. If he says he has 10 women, then your life is done. You cannot live, you cannot have them. Get into the knowing your God. You do that by choosing it anyways. I don't care what the 3D fucking shows you. You must have thought of it, or you must have thought of yourself that something is against you. Would you bother yourselves to ask yourselves, why is my 3D the same way? Have I changed? Am I still the same old pity party fucking loser in my mind? Am I keeping myself in an elevated status? Do I praise myself? Do I view myself as the creator of this whole world? Did I even bother thinking what being the creator of the whole world means? Or did I use it as an excuse that, well, if I'm the creator, it should have been manifested by now, so no, I'm not. Have you actually sat with yourselves? Have you made yourselves important? Because if you had, trust me, you would get anything in this fucking world. Did you dare to view yourselves at a high status? I bet you haven't. That's why you don't have it. My clients, people that have taken my advice, which may not be my clients, okay? They've just listened to the videos and applied, the videos that are for free, and they applied. They had results. Why? Because they applied. They started elevating themselves, raising their status, not raising their frequency. I don't give a fuck about this kind of fucking shit. You're in a high frequency anyways, because you're fucking God. But those people applied. They dared to view themselves as the creator that they are. Not belittling them, not inferiorizing anyone, but they raised themselves. Raised is not a good word. Raised it means totally different. They started viewing themselves for who they really are. They started viewing themselves as, this is my shot to life. I've created all this fucking shit for myself. Taking accountability, that's it. Take fucking accountability. Stop hiding behind your finger and call it, oh, you're being mean. You tell us it's all for my life. It was my fault. But grow up. Acknowledge. When you ruin a food, it's your fault. Okay? What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna start cooking a new one? Or are you gonna sit around years begging that this wouldn't have happened, begging that, oh no, it's the food's fault? It's called taking accountability. Okay? That's it. Whatever happens in your 3D shouldn't matter. The 3D, it's an innocent reflection. It gives you what you asked for. As long as you keep asking for this kind of circumstances, and how do you ask for this kind of circumstances? You hold yourself in a victim mindset. You imagine yourself in scenarios that are not very suitable to you. What does this mean? Imagining yourself in scenarios that are not suitable to you, what do they mean? You imagine yourself dumped, not chosen, replaceable, not loved, not in charge, not anything. That's what imagining. You imagine that they have an excuse. You imagine they have 5 third parties. You imagine they adore the marriage. You imagine they adore the other person, but not you. That's what imagining yourself means. Stop imagining yourself in scenarios you do not want to be in. You're setting this whole world in motion. You choose what the actors do. You choose what your SP does. You can do whatever you want. It's your fucking movie. So why the fuck would you imagine yourself that your SP cheats on you or dumps you? You can do whatever you want. Guys, I'm so much like, did you think that I knew I was God and I maintained the perfect God state? Of course not. I had to repeat it. I had to choose it every day for myself. I would slip back into my victim mentality. I would go back. No, wait, I'm God. Do you remember that circumstance we manifested it? If you keep thinking like that, CJ, you're going to manifest that all over again. Do you want that? No. I chose it for myself. Why can't you guys choose it for yourselves? What do I have that you don't have? Nothing. Nothing. I don't have anything more than you. I'm not more superior or more intelligent, but I was more afraid of fucking myself in the ass again than I would be afraid of applying. Of course my 3D hasn't changed from the beginning. Of course I manifested hell for myself, but I was on my side. At least I was on my side. I've chosen thoughts. I've chosen my identity over and over again. When the 3D would hit me in the face with something I didn't like, when my thoughts would come in or my emotions would come in and it wouldn't be whatever I wanted, I still chose something differently. I was aware, I was taking accountability. I said, well, if you don't think that, you're gonna manifest shit. I was more afraid of manifesting my shit. Here you go, you use fear in your advantage. It's called accountability, guys. It's called being a grown-up. It's called taking your life in your hands, because it's always been in your hands. As much as you try to hide from this truth, at some point you will accept it at some point. So what I'm doing through my videos is cutting through the time that it might take you to realize that. Choose it anyways. Okay? That's it for today.